Swear to God, I'll eventually get consistent with my recording again. Hey, everybody, welcome back to more Limbus Company. I'm SlayerMathis, and last time, I'm pretty sure we had just started off our Canto 8 shenanigans, and this time, it is Walpurgis. We missed the last Walpurgis. We are here for this one, the Dusk of Amber. And there's a very important reason for why we're doing this one. That is, well, if we go on to here, we have Faint Aroma and Solitude Ryoshu. It's a sinking Ryoshu! Finally! This is actually I played around with this a little bit on my main account. This is a very fun ID. So, we're gonna see if we can grab it. Right away, we got ourselves a 3-star. We also got ourselves a sinking Honglu with R-Corp. Similar to all the other reindeer. Charge and sinking. Rose Spanner Gregor is, I believe, Tremor Charge Rupture? It's one of the very few 3-status IDs. Yeah, it's Tremor Charge Rupture. Any sort of Mirror Dungeon stuff that wants to use 3 statuses, that's a big one on it, is Rose Spanner Gregor. It's not a good ID, but it has that fun little niche, I guess, to it. And not great Walpurgis luck so far. Pick up Hornet Merceau, which is kind of a side grade to Capo, Thumb Merceau. You get Fell Bullet Ego, Yi-Song. Works well with the ID, understandably so. There we go. The big one that we wanted, Faint Aroma, Solitude, Ryoshu. We also had picked up a Haisho Greg. In addition, from this being 3rd anniversary, we do get a guaranteed 3-star extraction. I believe, I forget if that's part of, I think it's, yeah, ticket is, I might end up getting these. I do have them on my main account. But we'll have quite a few that we can get, but we'll do this pull. Oh my god, I wonder if one of these is a 3-star. Oh, wow! Okay. Middle Sinclair is solid. Nothing spectacular, but it's not bad. In terms of other Walpurgis stuff, which they do move that up to the top, what do we have for our stuff? A little bit low on, like, everyone, which is a shame. Oh, we can use the Season 1 ticket to get... both of these are quite good. For the same reason, which is their support passive. Is this one... Okay. Because this one is 5 HP after winning a clash, while Ryoshu is, I believe, 15 after defeating an enemy? Yeah. So, they're both very good for support stuff. I think I'm gonna pick up G-Corp Greg. Probably would have been a little smarter to do Ryoshu, just because we could theoretically pull Greg from normal pulls, while Ryoshu we could not. But well. Let's go look into everything that we just got. Fell Bullet. Big thing with it is killing your allies, as well as getting Torn Memory. It does has the potential to do a ton of damage. But again, I'm not the biggest fan of Fell Bullet, just because it's pretty inconsistent. We'll go into Faint Aroma Solitude in a moment. Hornet. Again, a lot of ammo, a lot of burn, as well as, I think it has... Okay, no, it has Spore is a new status with it. It's a little bit of extra bind. You gain a bunch of count with it, but you also do more damage when you have Spore as well. And you eventually get some nice strong stuff as well. Solid for that, and I believe that's the only reload. I have not tried out Hornet Merceau yet, but it seems like it's solid. R-Corp, again, it's sinking, it's charge, it's solid. Then we got... what was it? Middle Sinclair. It's a lot of envy, it's a little bit of bleed, but it is mainly just a damage dealer. Big thing with it, Middle Dawn and Middle Ishmael are turning their counters into skill 3s with enough absolute resonance. And then finally, G-Corp Greg. Again, the big thing is that Gene Code G3 rather is very strong. It's the Season 1 identity, so it's not great, but And finally, we have Faint Aroma Solitude Ryoshu. Again, it's a lot of sinking. This is such a fun ID, though. It does have a skill 1-2, which will trigger fairly often, honestly. It can also do a bit of Tremor, so less than 40 SP, or Staggered. Then you will use Bang Bang. Eventually at 0, you use the the 1-2, which will cost you 10 SP, I believe. And then you'll reload. It's very fun. And eventually you'll be able to use Magnificent End as well. What we are going to do for this is... how far do we get? I can afford to off-screen a couple of... well, off-screen them. I'm just gonna do this a couple times to get Ryoshu back up. And that gets us another level, which is quite nice. Probably enough to get you up to 55. And we will also up-tie 5 you with the takeoff module. I'm pretty sure there's no spoilers in this. If there are, you will not see what the thing is. It was an unremarkable sort of day, if one could call it that, and even the agents of the upper layer had been mobilized to suppress and return Alriu into its containment unit. With the control team left hollowed out, the child had been saddled with managing the abnormalities assigned to the department. PMPC. As soon as she stepped into the old lady's containment unit, the child sat reclining in a chair and crossed her legs, unfiltered complaints spilling out of her mouth. All day long, she'd been tasked with doing managerial work on Alriu to extract its ego gear, and she failed. It's 3 times that already. 7, actually, by the manager's yardstick, that she'd allowed Alriu to escape under her watch today alone. I don't see how that pink mongrel breaking containment is my fault. That dimwit of a manager was about every scrap of luck because he couldn't resist rubbernecking at the thing every now and then. Alriu, the sorrowful child slips out of the containment when the work result is bad and just as readily on a good. It's never content to remain confined. It would much rather wander outside, fusing the company's musty corridors with the fresh scent of the forest. Things must look quite unfair from where it stands. And, of course, from where the manager stands, too. No flower viewing today. Just stuck you and the old hag droning on all day. It's become pitch black, this room. Curtains must have seeped into the walls. Been a while since I'd last did some work here.
Dearie, dearie, would you like to hear a story?
Whatever. Tales crooned like lullabies, poems too abstract to grasp, ghost stories that make the hair on the back of the neck stand straight up. Stories known to all, to the ones known to none. The old lady knows every tale ever told, every single story in existence, every nursery rhyme written for children. It goes without saying that her treasure trove of tales also includes secret stories of her abnormalities. Just coincidence, perhaps? Or is it an inevitability? For the first time, the old lady brought up a tale of an abnormality, an entity that the child knew all too well.
Oh, Albion, the lovely one, a doll who yearned to be human.
Know something about that rabbit thing? A flicker of surprise crossed the child's face as she voiced her question, but the answer, in all likelihood, won't be hers to hear. The old lady, you see, doesn't speak to you. She merely speaks, spinning her tales and making her loneliness known.
Its eyes were full of soul, and it was adored by the people. But every genesis of the spring is to be followed by the passing of the autumn.
The old lady does no such thing as asking. She doesn't respond, either. The words that come out of her mouth are enough for conversation, which is why, for all the stories she tells, she can never manage to fill the void of her loneliness.
One day the doll was abandoned in a lonely forest. Its eyes were stolen by crows lusting for glitter, while its mind, life, and heart slowly withered away. Part by part, its pretty porcelain body cracked and shattered. Its eyes once were, only gaping holes were left. And yet, it all remained standing in the forest. The cracks and openings in the porcelain were instead filled with a growing bouquet of flowers, and fresh petals fluttered down like tears from the empty holes of its eyes.
And then, what happens next? Did it hunt down the crow that pecked its eyes out? Did it cut off its wings? The child knew that no answer would be returned. And she'll get to hear the next part of the story, whether or not she invited the old lady to continue. Still, ask she did, as though she were used to such exchanges.
Albion, lacking eyes but all seeing, a human who yearned to be a doll. Born of soil, and to soil it shall return.
The old lady directed her gaze back at the child, a gaze as hollow as that of Albion from the story, the black void that seemed to meet the child's own eyes. It was almost as though she were interested in hearing what the child would make of the tale. The child's eyebrows cinched together in a scowl. The tale might have found footing had she cared to listen with interest, but it was not for her. She really should have spared herself the trouble of hearing out, so she thought. L-O-N-E. Your story is literally odious, needless, empty.
But surely that was not the end of the story for the doll.
Perhaps the story hit a bit too close to home, and reminded the child of a certain someone she only remembered the foggy fragments of her memories. Either way, a cloying loneliness clung to the child as she stepped into the containment unit. Who the hell are you?
Oh, I'm Vera. For information, you're that agent who transferred to the middle layer from this safety team, right?
Ryoshu.
Right, Ryoshu. I've heard quite a bit about you.
What do you want?
I came down because Mr. Yesai gave the order for support. It was known in the central team. Control team. Anyhow, I thought I saw something burn in the lobby, and yep, I said that you, altered your ego gift to a cigarette. It's not an issue, I guess, as long as it's not a fire. The boy extended a hand for a handshake, but the child slapped it away like a high five and moved toward the hallway. Only to be stopped by a flustered employee blocking her path. Please, just a moment. Wait here until the control team arrives.
And why should I do that?
You missed the announcement, I take it. The Dusk of Amber will begin shortly. And during the Dusk of Amber, the effectiveness of red, that is physical attack, is doubled.
Doubled? That multiplier nonsense you people like to play with,
Correct. Ryoshi, your ego weapons are both white type. I recommend either switching weapons or leaving it to the others.
You're NSFP.
Pardon?
You're not seeing the full picture. The child brushed past the employee and walked into the corridor with light steps. Closely, MB. The switching ego gears would allow double the efficiency. I'll need to use both my weapons at once instead.
What?
I'll show the cleverness of FAS. A gigantic worm burst into the hallway. As the ordeal entity advanced slowly, yet not without momentum, the child raised a crossbow and took aim. The employee who frantically chased after the child watched the bolt fly from the crossbow, and in the same breath the child's revolver fired 6 rounds at the ordeal at a speed too fast for the eye to track. Is that not enough?
That's why I told you to either switch weapons or wait! It's not too late to go back.
Well, more shots to do the trick then. One shot, then two, then a third. Bolts and bullets rained on the ordeals until they burst like squashed fruit. And another bolt loosened at the point-blank range, punched straight through the largest of them, the Dusk itself. Not a dull end to wrap up the day.
Why are you aiming the thing at me?
The child perhaps managed to reshape the loneliness that latched onto her into an artistry of her own. because she no longer seemed lonely as she emptied her gun on the horrified employee. Like, honestly, the thing is, shooting one of your coworkers in the face is a very Ryoshu thing to do. But at the same time, because it, what is her weapon actually called? I think it is just called Loneliness, but, I mean, obviously it's Solitude. Obviously Solitude is a white weapon, so it'll deal double the damage. Greg is not available in this for story reasons. We will not be seeing why. We will just give it a moment. We're going to skip the story because we are not at that point yet. But we get Bong Bong! Hi, Bong Bong. Of course, with the prescript, we gotta fight where the prescript asks. And otherwise, everyone's going after this music rocks. Anyways. Again, I didn't fully read, so I'm not, like, 100% certain on the conditions that trigger, Full Blue. Or Magnificent N, rather. Which is the 3-2. But of course, as we fire from Solitude, which is, it is 2 shots on the S1 and 1 on the S2, we will slowly pare down our, we'll lower our ammunition ever so slightly, and as the ammo lowers, we will eventually, once we run out, we use the 1-2, and that ends up doing quite some good work for us. Of course, as with a lot of sinking stuff, it does worse against our abnormality friends, or our non-SP having companions. We do want to keep working down on all of these. We'll just... Let's see, I feel like our skill 1 should be fine. Or rather, skill 3s should be fine to take out an enemy each. Oh no, Ryoshu's shooting the trans beam. And reaches 30 petals, so she pops Magnificent End and removes all of her petals. Another round of Bong Bongs? Or is it Bongs Bong? Like, is it one of those kind of plurals? Probably not. Now, we luckily will get the... Stories That Never Cease will pop off. Ryoshu really is the queen of the extra attack. Out of everyone that can trigger their own extra attack, of course, Lord of Hongyuan, Honglu can also trigger a lot of extra attacks, but Ryoshu has... Yuridivi Ryoshu can do it. Can cause unassisted attacks. What is it actually called? Why am I blanking on the name? The Protector of Dongyu. I know what the character's name is, but we haven't met her yet. But that one can do their own unassisted attacks. And then, of course, we have a bunch of extra attacks coming in from Faint Aroma and Solitude. Honestly, it's incredibly impressive that Ryoshu has not just one ID that can dual-wield Ego, but two of them. Yeah, like, you can see why this is such a fun ID. I don't know if it'll necessarily be considered, like, a top-tier meta one. I just realized my game audio is not recording. Alright, sorry about that. I had changed my settings for something earlier, and I completely forgot to check that things were actually working. I will do my best to remember to add in a bit of extra audio, just like underneath, but I do not know how possible that will, or how much that'll be. But that is just my mistake. I entirely forgot to turn sound on. I suddenly just look over to my Elgato, and I see the game audio has no sound line to it. It's like, ah, shit, messed up. Get a nice couple free shots in. And we get the Magnificent End. And we also get the skill we were actually using. You know what? I think Ryoshu can finish it off herself. Yeah, see? Yeah, see? Yeah. Anyways, we'll also skip past the story as here. Again, because we are not actually at this point. We'll be able to see the story when we actually reach it in the game proper. But, you know. Everything was suppressed. And if we go into missions, I believe we cleared all the easy ones. I think we do technically have access to hard, but they're level 60. That's something that I will do on my own time. Next time we return to Kanto 8 for Disruption. But until then, see you guys later.